Hello, and good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Catherine Diaz, and right now, to continue with our topic, FLA, Foreign Language Anxiety, we will discuss a little bit about what contributes to this type of anxiety. More specifically, we will discuss the question: which factors do students believe contribute to FLA? The following explanation is based on ideas developed by Renee Van Word, Leonie Teloloyarty, and Susana Perez Castillejo. Each of their investigations involved asking students how they felt and what they felt that caused them foreign language anxiety. I will use their ideas to develop mine, and right now we'll start with Von Word's main ideas. Even if foreign language anxiety can vary widely from learner to learner, the effects of it can extend beyond the classroom and affect students' future choices, such as selection of courses, majors, and careers. Now, just to talk more specifically about that question that you are seeing right there in your screen, who is affected by this? Well, of course, our students. And what is going to affect? It is going to affect their present and their future. And even we can say that their past is somewhat in this, is somewhat involved in this situation. Along this line, students in a study identified several anxiety causing factors. These factors including pronunciation, inability to understand and answer questions, peer judgment, not knowing or understanding the goals and requirements of the course. And lastly, and sadly, the teacher, specifically when it is a native speaker. Additionally, another investigation found a relationship between anxiety and competitiveness on the part of FLA and foreign language learners. She studied the diaries of some learners and described that they tended to become anxious when they compared themselves with other learners in the class and felt themselves to be less proficient. She also noted that as the students perceived themselves to be more proficient and consequently better suited to compete, their anxiety decreased. Now, to continue with some main points, the following are going to be ideas that Leonid Teloloyarty found in an investigation made by him. They are not in a specific order. And again, I'm going to use his ideas to also help you understand what we want you to know about this. First, we have non-comprehension. Many students complain that the teachers speak too fast or refuses to use Spanish, in our case, at all, which results in an inability to keep up during class, and consequently, this is carried over into homework assignments and interaction with the language in real life situations. Sadly, I would say that this is like the main factor of why students sometimes start to think that they are not good enough or that they don't like a language, and that's why they start developing FLA. Not understanding something is very frustrating, of course, and students might think that they don't have the enough knowledge or that they are not capable enough to deal with a new language just because of this. So, we as teachers or future teachers, we need to consider this, not just to see how can we avoid this, but also to understand our students because of course we were students once and we are still students but in an university level and we might understand what they are feeling and what they are going through, but still we need to know what is affecting them in order to try to see how can we help them get rid of this. Now, speaking activities. The fear of giving a speech in public exceeds even such phobias as fear of snakes, elevators, and also heights, whereas those with public speaking concerns have only to perform, language learners have a dual task. They must not only learn the new language, but perform it as well. One highly anxious student reported feelings of frustration when the teacher um, when the teacher thought that she didn't know anything, when she actually did. Students also report feeling overwhelmed and anxious when speaking, perhaps due to an immature vocabulary or limited grammatical knowledge. And here I want you to see and the fact that we are speaking about speaking activities. We are not even talking about exams because that's a completely different thing. We are talking about speaking activities, those that we do in our classes. The students might feel that they are not good enough or that they don't have the enough knowledge to cover everything they need or to express everything they want during a speaking activity. And of course, this is something that affects them a lot because it is not only going to affect them in how they are progressing with the language, because having this fear or this anxiety of speaking, um, it not only affects their performance during class or with the language by itself, but this also affects them mentally. And this is something that again causes FLA, and we need to be aware of this. That sometimes if we have a student in class that maybe we ask him or her directly to participate or to make a contribution, this is something that scares them, and it is something very common to see that sometimes students don't reply. They just don't reply, for example, right now with virtuality, or even that they look scared when they have to participate. Now, pedagogical and instructional practices. Several other students made comments regarding the speed of the course and complained that teachers just keep going and do not layer and reinforce the grammar items. This is something that sadly we can't do a lot in relation with this. Um, of course, we need to cover a specific amount of topics throughout the year, and we should not. We as professors or teachers, we need to know that sometimes a specific topic is going to be hard for some students. Ideally, what we should do is start with the topic and continue with it until students feel comfortable enough with it and that they know in a correct way how to use it. But again, sadly, we can't. We need to cover a specific list of topics. And this is something that students feel that makes them anxious. The fact that of having a lot of information that they need to learn, that they need to memorize, that they need to know how to use. Because this is not only in a written way, this is also in a speaking way, and also in writing activities, in reading activities. So students might feel very anxious with all of the things that they need to do, specifically when we are learning a language, right? Also, an extremely anxiety provoking technique, and one used by most foreign language teachers, is calling on students one after another in sitting order. The most explicit description of this technique was given by a student who said, and I quote, "I think that builds tension, builds anxiety. Just sitting there, knowing that in a few minutes you're about to be called, and it's almost execution style." End of quote. Right now that we are facing virtuality, it is very common for us to simply start calling students one by one in list order. And I even see with some students that they really feel anxious when their turn comes, and they even start counting, for example, the paragraphs to see what they are going to have to read, or even if they find things that they don't know how to pronounce or how to answer when their moment to participate comes. And well, this is something that we right now during virtuality, we sometimes need to proceed and do this because students might not participate because they want to. So again, this is something that causes FLA sometimes in them, and we need to know this and see, identify these things and try to help our students. Next, we have error correction. Comments made by several students pertained to teachers interrupting to correct speaking errors. These interruptions would frequently cause students to lose their focus. Also, students reported becoming frustrated when the teacher would correct the error before they had time to completely formulate a response. Well, this error correction is something that I guess all of us had faced at least once when we were in high school or still right now that we're in the university. Sometimes the way we correct our students is not good, and the way we provide feedback to them should be something that helps them instead of making them feel anxious. For example, a very common practice to correct students during a reading where when they are reading aloud is that if if the teacher listens to a mistake, he or she stops that student and makes him or her start repeating the word in the correct way until he or she does it. And then the student just needs to continue reading until again the teacher finds a mistake and stops the student. This is a technique of giving feedback that I've seen scares students a lot and that they don't like it. Why? Because they feel like they lose their focus when they're stopped like that. And also they might feel embarrassed because the rest of their classmates are seeing that they made a mistake, and also they are seeing how hard it is for that student to correct it. Sadly, feedback is something that we see as something bad when we should help our students understand that feedback is good. It is meant for them, it is created for them to improve their English level and not just to make them feel bad in front of their classmates, of course. And also, here we have final exams. Test anxiety was mentioned during one of the interviews, particularly in connection with oral testing, oral listening exercises. One student admitted at being near tears during the final exam when he had to give an oral presentation and was upset, shaking and sweating. Exams, in general, are something that scares students a lot because, again, they are feeling judged. They are feeling like their skills are being judged. So they feel anxious and that they feel that maybe they are not good enough. And this is something that makes them fail with things that maybe they know that they are doing incorrectly. Now, just to mention some ideas that were very well explained by Perez's investigation, this author found that FLA significantly increases after performing a timed task. As foreign language anxiety increases, attention levels slightly decrease. This study also found that foreign language anxiety was a strong predictor of four aspects of L2 utterance fluency during a final exam: pause frequency within AS units, pause length between AS units, the number of meaningful syllables produced between pauses, and the proportion of speaking time. Foreign language anxiety interferes with speech processing by hindering formulation and encoding more than conceptualization of the message. Here, as you could have already seen, um, we are not only referring to written exams, we're also talking about oral exams. In a written exam, um, again, as I just mentioned, they feel anxious because they feel that they are being judged. And their concentration, their attention levels decrease because of this. Students should not feel scared because of an exam. They should know that they have to be calmed and relaxed during an exam because being nervous is not going to help. Also, on the side of oral exams, students feel very anxious because, of course, they are receiving a grade that will affect them. Sadly, feedback from exams like these ones are seen as negative feedback. Why? Well, because they are lowering their grades. And this is why students don't like exams, because they feel that their knowledge is being judged and that the feedback that is being provided is not helping them, but they are making them lose points and lowering the grade. So we need to see how to help our students see that, of course, exams are going to lower your grade every time you make a mistake, but those mistakes are good for them because they help them improve if they check them and try to apply the good way of doing those things in your lives. Well, these are just some of the factors that can cause foreign language anxiety. We as teachers and future teachers should always be checking our class dynamics and try to avoid including these and even more things that can make students feel uncomfortable with the language. Well, right now, that's it for this video at least. But now, you all guys can please go ahead and continue with the next video where we will cover what can we do to help our students. Thanks for watching.